And welcome back into Open Line. I'm Chuck Long here with attorney Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. We're with you for about the next 38 minutes or so. A lot of you calling in, and I tell you, we say this many times, and we're kind of looking back on the year at some of the highs and the lows. But one of the things that we find over and over again is the fact that your question not only helps you, but it helps a lot of other folks that are listening right now. So we always appreciate those calls. So a lot of folks are helped. All right, we are going back to our lines right now, and Marcia is on the line with us. So Marcia, what is your question this evening?
I called earlier and I didn't really get a full answer because it was about the malpractice and being mistreated at a hospital.
Yes.
What type of lawyer would I look for?
You would be looking for a personal injury lawyer. You know, when you're talking about nursing homes, most of all those fit in the same category because they usually have access to many of the experts. When you say, well, there's nursing home abuse, there was neglect, then you're going to have an expert to be able to say someone deviated from the standard of care. You know, many people are left alone and they get bed sores because no one washed them, no one turned them over. Well, you need an expert to look at the photos and then look at the records and then make their assessment. If they say that there is a deviation from the standard of care in that community, then that's their opinion. Of course, you already know the nursing home is going to have a host of experts. And the insurance companies, one of the first things they do is break out all their experts. So in the medical malpractice, car wrecks, so much of the time, the personal injury lawyers who do it on a regular basis, they have experts readily available who are specialized in those particular areas. And of course, somebody's got to pay those guys. And then you have to, if you take their deposition, someone has to pay the court reporter to take down that expert's witness. So that's what we're confronted with, but it would be a personal injury lawyer. You'll see many of them advertising.
All right, good to know. So, Marcia, thank you for calling back, just to clarify that. Kevin, you know, one of the things, too, with a lot of families and friends, you know, getting together in the upcoming holidays,
yes.
What do you suggest if someone, whether it's estate planning or the many questions that families will have, what do you suggest they do if they do have a problem and they're all going to be getting together over the holidays? Do they discuss it? Do they wait? Do they just say, no, let's go ahead, let's talk to an attorney?
Yes. Well, again, I want to, what are our options? What are your feelings? Well, Dad, did you ever get the will done? Daddy, did you ever get a medical power of attorney? Daddy, did you ever do a durable? Why did you give it to them? Dad, you haven't seen him in a long time. Do you think you should reconsider? There's nothing wrong with families having these open discussions. And you know, we're all in a busy world, but you'll regret it if you didn't get the will done. You'll regret it. You know what I hear so much? We waited too long with the family farm, Chuck. And now Mom's gone to the nursing home and we've got a host of problems. So estate planning is a good thing. A little advice goes a long way. And this is the biggest point. If we know this is the difference between Kevin Kennedy and what I preach and what I teach, many times I'll hear people call and they say, Kevin, well, the police are asking, hello, come in. Throw on the brakes then. Go straight to the lawyer. Kevin Kennedy says take a proactive approach immediately. And if we're at the dinner table and Chuck said, well, you know, this may come up, Chuck, come in immediately. And some lawyers say, well, there's nothing we can do. Wait and see if you get arrested. Wait and see if you get indicted. Wrong answer. And so I don't want to see that. Wait till Mom dies and then we'll deal with that issue when it comes. Wrong answer. Always a proactive, creative approach, and you'll be glad you did.
Absolutely. Proactive. Always a good thing. So as you're thinking about family getting together next week and you're wondering whether or not or what you might bring up at the dinner table, give us a call. Just you know, fire that question away.
Absolutely.
And it helps a lot of folks.
You know, Chuck, I was saying, I get wound up. You know, there's passion in my voice when I talk about this. Both my sons are surgeons. They're smart guys. But who is teaching them all the time? They say, really, Dad? I said, really, son, because we may not, because you know what's going on? Every week we see something new, and Chuck's my friend and I want to protect him. And so when the FBI, the IRS, or whoever you've got to deal with, you should use a sophisticated approach. And you don't have to make these statements. You can say, can I have your card? Can I get back with you? And it's very polite. We're going to be gentlemen. We're going to be professional.
If you do have a question or a comment, just make sure you get on the line with us at 737-7587. We're going back to the lines right now. Keith is on the line with us. Keith, good evening, and do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Keith. Am I on the air?
Yes,
You're on
you
the
are.
air.
Oh, okay. Well, what I got here is a problem. They said my wife has got a loss of memory. And I checked the what do you call it, side effect sheets, and it says that something her doctor had on her for 10 years, a medication, a controlled substance. It's not as serious as that opioid that is going around, but a controlled substance for 10 years, and now she can't remember anything. She can't remember where the gas pedal and the brake are, even in the car, or what she went after upstairs, 3 trips that she drives. And so I'm just wondering, she was on that medication 10 years.
Okay.
And she's almost totally lost her memory.
Right.
And my daughter said, well, she has Alzheimer's. And I don't know whether she does or not, because sometimes she'll snap back and answer on something I can't figure out.
Okay, well, here's what the first thing you've got to do. You know, right now it's going to be a wave of lawsuits. Mass torts are one of the hottest things. I went to the big seminar in Las Vegas recently, 1,500 of the best lawyers in the nation, and they're talking about mass tort. You know what was number one on their agenda? Is bringing lawsuits against the drug companies for things such as this. So then we're in a bunch of gray areas. That's where your creative lawyer comes in. So I would talk to one of the lawyers. You'll see them advertising all the time about this drug or that drug, and you might Google it. Are there any lawsuits that are pending, and what were their causes of action? You're going to have an expert to say that is the reason. And obviously the drug companies are already going to say this person had Alzheimer's. They were genetically predisposed for Alzheimer's. They had type 3 diabetes. So you understand it's not an easy walk by any means, but Google it, find out, pursue it. The squeaky door gets the oil. If you do nothing, you'll get nothing.
Well, and so Keith, we appreciate that call. So again, another call that will help a lot of folks out there. And two, one of the things that Keith and anybody in that situation will need to do is get as much information as you can, gather it up. So when you talk to that particular attorney, you've got that information.
And here's one of the situations. Everybody wants to know, when did the statute of limitations begin to run? Because once you know that, if you wait another year, then clearly under your own assessment, you've gone beyond the statute. And of course, that drug may be sold in a bunch of different states, and she may have taken it in different. Everybody's circumstance is different.
Well, and that's a perfect example. You know, one of the reasons that people often ask, you know, when is it time to hire a lawyer? When should you hire a lawyer? Well, one of the things, too, is because the law is just so complicated. Trying to do something, you know, legally on your own is just really too difficult.
Well, you know, even like at my organization, we have lawyers. When I go to the big courts, whether you're going to a court of appeals federally or a court, I always have a team, because there is so much to take in. They change the rules, and if you didn't know this, you're going to have Tennessee law, Tennessee code annotated. You'll have statutes that we have to deal with. Then there's case law, State versus Jones, or Jones versus Jones, and then we apply all those cases to your fact situation and the interpretation thereof. So that's why it's always moving. They bring down new decisions all the time, and then that changes or interprets the law. And that's where lawyers are. This is different from the Ferris Doctrine because of this. And if you're not really sharp, you're not really on your toes, then they just steamroll you.
Well, and of course, that's what the number's on the screen for you, 737-7587. If you do have a question or a comment for Kevin Kennedy with the Kennedy Law Firm. You know, and another thing that we often look at is the reasons people are hiring lawyers is one of the things, lawyers know how to challenge the evidence, but you also know how to suppress it. A lot of people don't think about that.
Well, and you know, what I've learned too over the years, when I've been in these trials, I'll have worked on the case for a year, and then all of a sudden, here's the answer. Well, why didn't I think of that a year ago? Perhaps we didn't talk enough, perhaps we didn't ask the right questions, or something sparked that creative side of your brain, and it makes a difference. Even this week, I just got through telling Chuck about some new theories I have developed this week, and I've been telling the other lawyers. Now, they may come back and say, well, Kevin, that's great theory, but it won't work because of this, this, and this. I said, we will see.
Right. You got to test it out. All right. We've got a lot of you on the line with us. We will get to those questions, but we do need to take a short break. So when we come back, more questions with attorney Kevin Kennedy. You're watching Open Line.